All right, welcome to another episode of F1 Fanatics. Today we're going to continue following the drama, which seems to be the only thing in the news lately. If it's not Toto Wolff, it's Lewis Hamilton and Fred the Pouter Vasseur. Anyway, so Vasseur called Lewis Hamilton stupid, or he said that Lewis Hamilton made a stupid assumption. But to be fair, he also called himself stupid too. He said that both he and Lewis Hamilton were stupid in thinking that he could just jump in and adapt and drive well at Ferrari. I guess if he's saying that he's stupid too, we can't really say he's insulting Lewis Hamilton but he is saying it was, I think the way the Europeans use language is different. I think what they're saying, it was naive and it was a little bit of a dumb assumption. But let's look carefully, because what he's saying is that Hamilton spent 20 years with Mercedes or McLaren, but McLaren basically is an English-speaking team, and they were using Mercedes engine, and they were closely linked to Mercedes. Then he went to Mercedes, and he didn't have the cultural shock that he had coming to Ferrari and all of that. And Vasseur may have a point, but I think that I don't care about cultural differences, Kunle. Tell me the truth. Cultural differences or no differences. If the car is a rocket like McLaren, even if it's a new car that you're getting used to, even if and you've never driven it before, even if it's a rocket like McLaren and it has balance, it has traction, it's good on high speed and low speed, do you think the cultural difference will make that big a difference for a driver like Hamilton? What do you think?
Well, I don't think so, but I need to point this out, yeah? The margins between teams are very marginal. So when he's saying this, he may or may not be right. There is a cultural issue. The question is, does it affect racing?
Yeah.
It's purely subjective. You think it doesn't. I think it does, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. And the reason I'll say this, from my own personal life experience, I went to school in England, and then I did a year in France. And I did notice the cultural difference between the French students and the English students. And I think it was my Nigerianness that made me identify more with the English on one side and the French with the other. And the English and the French on either side were more alien to each other. And is a Brit. And I'd said this before, that Ferrari is a lot about passion and instinct, and England is about logic and precision and pristineness and being clinical. And the two cultures are the same. And I've harped on this many, many times. And I also did say, even this season, there was a point where Lewis Hamilton was getting better results, but his head was still falling. He still wasn't happy, even when he was performing well. His morale was dropping. And even if you have a good car, I think, the human element is you always have to worry about the nut behind the wheel. Because obviously, I mean, if you put me and Verstappen in the same car, or if you put me in a faster car than Verstappen, I would still lose. So you still have to look at the mental
Yeah, but let's take a close look at it. This is F1. These people drive. Like, look at Tijani Reinders. He grew up in Where is he from? The football player. He's from Holland. He jumps into Liverpool. There's language differences. You see these guys come and they jump in. Sainz jumped to a team, Williams, which is English speaking, and he's actually doing okay. He's not driving as fast as he could, but his morale is still good. He's giving feedback to the team, and English is not his first language. My argument is that there are so many other problems that to say that it was because of the cultural dip is BS. That car is rubbish. That car, they changed that car's suspension last year, and it's unpredictable. It's having plank problems. They have to raise the tire. In the last race, they had to raise the tire pressure and then lose downforce. They're doing basically last minute hodgepodge micro corrections in the car, which don't work. So my argument is that the real problem is not the cultural thing. It's the fact that they changed the car, and the fact that the team management, I'm talking about their owners, I was trying to find a good word. I was going to say inept, but they're imbeciles. That team is imbecilic. We all know that Hamilton has mood swings. He suffers from depression. He was even down with Mercedes last year. So that's not a cultural thing. That's Lewis Hamilton's personality. He didn't come in. He came in. He won the China sprint race, and he was feeling great. Then all of a sudden, in the real long race in China, he messed up, got suspended for plank wear and everything. So I think that his dip in mood is because he's been used to being champion for 7 years, and he has to adapt now since Verstappen beat him unfairly. I don't think he's recovered for that. So I think that's where his mood dips go, because now all of a sudden he has these fluctuations in mood. He's giving directions to the team. Say, "Oh yes, now I feel better. Let's do this. We can do this." Then if he has a mistake in free practice too, he'll be saying, "Time for me to quit again." So I think Lewis Hamilton has a sort of bipolar personality. I see what you're saying. The cultural thing may make a difference. Maybe that's why Leclerc is beating him a little bit more. But neither of those guys is happy with that team and with what's going on. And I think that by trying to say that, oh, Lewis isn't doing well because of the cultural thing, I think Vasseur is trying to cover up the fact that it's really a technical issue. That car is rubbish, so that we can't even test the cultural thesis. What if they were driving the McLaren car now? Hamilton would be coming first or second in the drivers' championship. Would you agree, transfer or no transfer, if they had that car? He would be coming second or first.
Yeah,
that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I think that Vasseur. Go ahead.
The only reason Leclerc is even doing better is because he has more experience in the car. And based on how good the car was doing last season, Leclerc should be in and amongst McLaren more than he is. So yes, there is a lot of blame that has to be put on Ferrari. But because the margins are so subjective, even when they says, oh, it's a cultural clash and it sounds like a lot of BS, that might only account for less than half a second, and less than half a second can account for a lot in Formula One.
No, I wouldn't even know in a lap. I would say, let me tell you the truth, the cultural difference, the cultural difference would have changed by week 4, 5, 6. Okay, by the time you get acclimatized, and then that gap will no longer be there. And also, you can say that Hamilton was stupid enough to think the culture. Also, Hamilton needs to learn how to become a diplomat. So, for example, I live in the U.S. When I live in the U.S., I follow American norms. When I live in Nigeria, I don't use my left hand. I tell people uncle and auntie. When I'm here, I call them by their first name. If I go to South Africa, I keep myself quiet because I know how the culture is. So maybe it's a problem with him, his adaptability. Because I promise you, do you think cultural acclimatation would hurt Verstappen wherever he goes? No, because he's able to block out everything. As an athlete, you have to be able to block out all of that noise. And your only focus is on that car. So as long as there's communication between you and the engineers and it's direct on the car. Hamilton wasn't helping himself when the first couple of weeks, have a cup of tea while you're at it. No. You have to learn. I don't know. I'm going to blame Vasseur for that and Ferrari because you will never see that in McLaren. Have you ever heard the McLaren drivers say anything? And McLaren is a British team. Have you ever heard Piastri or Norris say anything cheeky to their engineers to that level? Once in a while, they may say a little snipey thing here, like I think they told Norris that he should pit. He said, "Trust me, I think I've got this. I've got this." That wasn't being rude. That was being assertive because you have an instinct about the car. Have a cup of tea. That guy rubbed the French people wrong and the Italians wrong. Sorry, Kunle, what were you going to say? Yeah.
So I'm going to say that this is actually quite unique to British people from my personal experiences when I was with them in France, where they were the foreigners. And then when I've seen them in Nigeria, they have this fixation for getting British things when they're outside. Especially, let me use Heinz baked beans. The biggest problem I have with English people when they go abroad, they have to find their Heinz baked beans. Even when they're in Spain, they're like, I want chips and beans.
I like Heinz baked beans.
And they have a really bad problem with assimilation into other cultures, worse than other Europeans. And I would argue they are even worse than Americans, because Americans even patronizingly would try to pretend that they're trying to identify with the country that they're in. Brits are not like that. And I think that part of it's unique. It's a unique handicap if you're British, that no matter where you go, you're going to be looking for your Liam Perrins, your baked beans, and your chips. And if you can't get
your Weetabix.
But even Weetabix is not even a problem for them. But baked beans, they have to have their baked beans. And they're like,
I won't lie though, because we grew up. I won't lie to you. We grew up in Nigeria on Heinz beans. Have you ever tried taking other beans in America or stuff? It's rubbish. Heinz beans is good, though. I won't lie. Heinz beans. I like Heinz beans with corned beef hash, corned beef. Yeah, Exeter.
Yeah,
I
no, but
can only eat Exeter corned beef.
anytime you're with a British person and they're abroad and they're eating something foreign, the first thing they do is they want to go to the supermarket and get baked beans, and they start saying, "Oh, I'm from Yorkshire. Oh, I'm from Liverpool. I can't be doing that."
Uh,
So they're not like, I'm taking the Michael, but I mean, to be honest, they're not, they're culturally, they're not very, very adventurous. But I'm saying I'm being too mean
yeah,
and
but this guy
extreme.
needs to adapt. Let me give you an
Formula
example.
One, that doesn't
Jeffrey
happen.
Button was more fluid, was more flexible than Hamilton. I think part of the problem, and I'm not dissing Hamilton. Hamilton's moody, and this moodiness. It's funny because Hamilton's one of the goats of all time as a driver, but at the same time, he's emotional. And I think his emotions have cost him a championship or two. He could have 9 championships. His emotions cost him a championship against what's his name? His inability to detach himself cost him that year against his teammate Rosberg. He could have beat Rosberg. Yeah, yeah.
I think Hamilton's just old. I think it's just he's just part of the best. I think even if he was a Schumacher, no matter how good you are, you have to come. All good things have to come to an end.
But you notice Schumacher went out gracefully.
That's what's happening with him, I think.
Schumacher went out gracefully. He tried to come back with Mercedes. He's like, unfortunately, it's not working. But I hand the mantle to my young man, Nico Rosberg. I remember he also helped Vettel win. Remember in the last race, he helped Vettel win by blocking Alonso. That was his last race, one of his last races. So he was, but you know what it was? Because he was confident in himself. He won his 7 titles. He knows who he is. So I think Hamilton, you have nothing to prove to anybody, man. Just focus and laugh. When I'm not lying, if I were Hamilton in my age, if I'm not doing well, I'll laugh. I'll even be laughing. I have a bad knee, just like Alonso has a bad back. Joke about it. Look at Alonso. Alonso's not doing well. In fact, you would expect Alonso to be depressed. He only won 2 championships. Alonso should have won 6 or 7, but he's mature enough and he's moved on, and now he's managing other racers. He's friends with Verstappen. So I think that Hamilton, like you said, he's getting older, but he also has to learn how to make the transition from being world's best to being one of the retired greats. What do you think, Kunle? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Hamilton is coming to the end of his time, and he doesn't need to chase any more titles. He's not going to get the 8th title. All he needs to do is to try to get on the podium a few times and win 1 or 2 races. And if he doesn't do it, he should be more relaxed than he is, because Ferrari are more of a problem than he is. I'm not saying that he's a perfect driver.
And can you imagine being I feel more sorry for Leclerc, because everybody keeps saying Leclerc is the fastest driver for one lap, and it doesn't look like he's ever going to win a championship. They call him the Jean Alesi of F1 or something. Yeah.
Leclerc has far more to prove. He's nowhere near anything Hamilton has achieved.
Can you imagine
those
young boys
the great Red Hope? And,
because you're looking at most likely Piastri at the age of 26 or 25 will be winning a championship. You know that's got to hurt Leclerc, because 2 years ago when we saw Piastri, they said, "Who is Piastri?" Piastri is just the houseboy for Norris. Now they're on the same level, on the verge of winning a championship. Anyway, so we'll